Ambassador June stepped off the transport ship and stared at the massive crystal towers stretching into the purple sky. His hands shook as he gripped the metal briefcase containing Earth's last hope. Behind him, the dying colony ships waited. In orbit, their engines cold and their people growing desperate. They had maybe 3 months of life support left. The crystal beings had ignored every human message for 20 years. But something had changed. Princess Nala, third heir to their throne, had finally agreed to meet. Nobody knew why. June walked through streets made of living crystal that hummed with energy. The buildings sang in frequencies that made his teeth ache. Everything here was alive in ways humans couldn't understand. The crystal people didn't eat food or drink water. They absorbed pure energy from their glowing city walls. 2 tall figures escorted him to the palace. Their bodies looked like walking diamonds, beautiful but cold. They never spoke, just pointed where he should go. June tried not to think about how easily they could crush him. The throne room was a massive sphere of blue crystal. Princess Nala sat in the center, her body shifting between solid and transparent. She was stunning and terrifying at the same time. Her voice echoed from everywhere and nowhere when she finally spoke. "You want our quantum fuel," she said. It wasn't a question. "Yes, Your Highness," June replied, trying to keep his voice steady. "Our people are dying. We need fuel to reach the safe systems." The princess tilted her head like a curious bird. "Your species is weak. Why should we help you?" June had practiced this speech 1,000 times. He talked about trade agreements and mutual benefit. He offered Earth's technology and resources. The princess looked bored. Then she said something. That changed everything. "I want to taste." "Taste what, Your Highness?" "Your food. I have heard your kind puts things in your mouths." "Show me." June's heart raced. This wasn't in any of his briefing materials. He slowly opened his emergency supply pack and pulled out a small container of rice and kimchi his wife had packed. The smell made him homesick. Princess Nala leaned forward. "What is that strange sensation?" "It's in smell, Your Highness. The food has an aroma." She created a mouth-like opening in her crystal face. June carefully placed a small spoonful inside. The princess went completely still for several seconds. Then her entire body began to glow brighter. "What is this feeling?" she whispered. "This explosion of something." "That's flavor, Your Highness. The rice is mild and filling. The kimchi is spicy and sour." The princess demanded more. She tried every piece of food June had brought. Each bite made her glow brighter. Her cold diamond features seemed to soften. "Incredible," she said. "We have existed for millions of years, absorbing energy. But this is different. It's not just sustenance, it's experience." June saw his chance. "Earth has thousands of different foods, Your Highness. Each region, each culture creates unique flavors." Princess Nala's eyes sparkled like stars. "Bring me more of these foods. Bring me many kinds. Do this, and I will give you the quantum fuel you need." June could barely believe it. Humanity's salvation might come from something as simple as a home-cooked meal. He bowed deeply. "It will be my honor, Your Highness." As he left the Crystal Palace, June smiled for the first time in months. Sometimes the most powerful weapon wasn't technology or force. Sometimes it was just sharing what made you human. 6. Months had passed since the first food delivery, and Chef Minho was exhausted. He stood in the massive kitchen aboard the supply ship, watching his team prepare another feast for Princess Nala. Steam rose from hundreds of pots as they cooked bulgogi, bibimbap, and dozens of other Korean dishes. "More gochujang on the noodles." Minho called out to his assistant Tai. The princess said last week's batch wasn't spicy enough. The food program had become huge. What started as June's emergency meal had grown into a galactic operation. 3 ships now made weekly trips to the crystal world, carrying fresh ingredients and prepared meals. The princess's appetite seemed endless. At first, everyone was happy. The crystal beings had kept their promise. Quantum fuel flowed to human colonies and the dying ships were saved. Families reunited on new worlds. Children who were starving now had hope for the future. But something was changing. Minho noticed it in the princess's messages. She used to be excited about each new dish. Her crystal body would glow bright blue when she tasted something amazing. Lately, her reactions were getting weaker. "Chef," said Communications Officer Yuna, approaching with a worried expression. "Princess Nala wants to speak with Ambassador June. She sounds different." Minho wiped his hands on his apron and followed Yuna to the bridge. June was already there, looking tired. The stress of managing humanity's most important relationship was wearing on him. The hologram appeared, showing Princess Nala in her throne room. But instead of her usual bright glow, she seemed dim and restless. Her crystal form kept shifting shape like she couldn't get comfortable. "Ambassador June," she said, her voice lacking its usual commanding tone, "your food has become ordinary." June's face went pale. "Your Highness, we've been sending new recipes every week. Chef Minho has prepared dishes from every region of Korea." "Yes, yes," the princess waved dismissively. "Spicy things, sweet things, sour things. I have tasted them all, but now they feel empty. Hollow." Minho stepped forward. "Your Highness, perhaps we could try foods from other human cultures. Chinese, Italian, Mexican." Princess Nala turned her attention to him. "I still don't understand, do you? You think this is about taste?" The bridge fell silent. Everyone sensed they were about to learn something important, possibly dangerous. "Your Highness," June said carefully, "if the food isn't satisfying you." "Any more, what would you like us to do?" The princess stood up from her throne and moved closer to the camera. Her crystal face came into sharp focus, and for the first time June could see something like hunger in her diamond eyes. "Let me explain something about my people," she said slowly. "We are not like you. We don't just eat food for energy. We consume experiences. We feed on sensations, emotions, memories. For millions of years, we absorbed only pure energy. It was efficient, but boring." She paused, letting that sink in. "When you brought me food, I didn't just taste flavor. I felt the memories inside it, the love of the person who cooked it, the history of the ingredients, the culture behind each recipe. That's what I was truly hungry for." Minho felt his stomach drop. "But now? Now I've consumed all the experiences your food can offer. I know your cooking methods, your cultural meanings, your emotional connections to these dishes. The food has no more stories to tell me." Princess Nala smiled, but it wasn't a friendly expression. "What I need now, Ambassador June, is something much more interesting. I want to experience what it means to be human." The silence in the communication room stretched on forever. Ambassador June felt sweat dripping down his back as he stared at Princess Nala's glowing form. Her crystal body pulsed with strange colors he'd never seen before. "I don't understand, Your Highness," June said finally. "What do you mean by experiencing humanity?" Princess Nala laughed, and the sound made the walls vibrate. "Oh, Ambassador, you humans are so innocent. Do you think I've just been eating your, food all these months?" She waved her hand, and holographic images filled the throne room. June recognized them immediately. They were scenes from Earth. A mother cooking soup for her sick child. An old man making kimchi the way his grandmother taught him. A young couple sharing their first meal together. "Every dish you sent me carried something precious," the princess continued. "Memories, emotions, the essence of human experience baked right into the food. When your chef Minho added extra love to his recipes, I could taste it. When your people cooked with sadness or joy or hope, I consumed those feelings too." Chef Minho stumbled backward. "That's impossible. Food is just food." "Not for my kind," Princess Nala said. "We see things differently. Your emotions leave traces on everything you touch. Your DNA carries the memory of every feeling you've ever had. And I've been studying it all." More images appeared. June saw wars, celebrations, funerals, weddings. Human history played out in the crystal throne room like a movie. "Through your meals I learned about your wars, the pain of soldiers far from home, eating simple rice to remember their families. I felt the joy of festivals where food brought communities together. I experienced the grief of mothers who cooked their children's favorite dishes long after they were gone." June's hands were shaking now. "What are you saying?" Princess Nala's form solidified, becoming more human-like. "I'm saying I've become addicted to your species. Not your food, your feelings. The way you love so deeply, knowing you'll lose everything." The way you hope when there's no reason for hope. The way you find beauty in your short, fragile lives. She stepped closer to the camera, and June could see something desperate in her diamond eyes. We crystal beings live forever, Ambassador. We feel nothing. We want nothing. We exist without purpose or passion. But you humans, you burn so bright because your time is limited. Every moment matters to you. Every emotion is precious because you know it won't last. Communications Officer Yuna whispered, "She's been feeding on our souls." "Not feeding," Princess Nala corrected, somehow hearing her. "Learning. Craving. For the first time in my eternal existence, I feel empty. I want what you have." June forced himself to speak. "What exactly do you want from us?" The princess smiled, and it was the most terrifying thing June had ever seen. "I want to feel fear, real fear, not just the idea of it. I want to experience love that makes your chest hurt. I want to feel the panic of knowing death is coming. I want to cry tears of joy and scream with rage and laugh until my stomach aches." She paused, letting her words sink in. "I want one of you to give me your mortality, your consciousness, your emotions, your beautiful, painful human experience. I want to trade my eternal crystal existence for your brief, burning life." The room went dead silent. Chef Minho dropped his spoon. Yuna covered her mouth in horror. "That's impossible," June whispered. "No, Ambassador, it's not. Our technology can transfer consciousness between beings. All I need is a volunteer, someone willing to give up their human body so I can experience what it means to truly live." "Princess," Nala's eyes locked on June's, "and I've already chosen who I want." The emergency meeting had been going on for 3 hours. Ambassador June sat at the head of the table, his face pale and drawn. Around him, the ship's senior staff argued in heated whispers. The weight of Princess Nala's demand hung over everyone, like a dark cloud. "She specifically asked for you," said Communications Officer Yuna, reading from her notes. "She wants your consciousness, your memories, your entire being transferred into her crystal body. In exchange, she'll continue providing quantum fuel to all human colonies." Dr. Hannah, the ship's chief scientist, slammed her tablet on the table. "This is insane. We're talking about killing a man to satisfy an alien's twisted curiosity." "But if we refuse," Captain Keong said quietly, "she cuts off the fuel supply. Millions of humans die. Our colonies fail. Everything we've built collapses." June rubbed his temples. "Has anyone actually looked at this transfer technology she mentioned?" Dr. Hannah pulled up holographic displays showing crystal being anatomy. "I've been studying their biological data for months. Their consciousness exists as pure energy patterns within their crystal matrix. Theoretically, they could map a human brain and transfer those patterns." "Theoretically," Engineer Day emphasized, "but human brains aren't made of crystal. Our consciousness is tied to biological processes they don't understand." "What would happen to me?" June asked. Dr. Hannah looked uncomfortable. "Best case scenario, your mind gets transferred successfully, but you're trapped in an alien body that processes reality completely differently from humans. You might go insane within days. And worst case, the transfer process destroys your consciousness entirely. You die, and Princess Nala gets nothing but empty neural patterns." Chef Minho, who had been silent until now, spoke up. "What about my family? My daughter Suri is only 8 years old. If I refuse and the colonies fail, your daughter will die anyway if this process kills you," Dr. Hannah said bluntly. "And we have no guarantee the princess will honor her agreement even if it works." Captain Keong stood up and began pacing. "We need to think strategically. Princess Nala has already shown she can consume human experiences through our food. What if this is just the beginning? What if she demands more volunteers after June?" "She's addicted to us," Yuna said. "She admitted it herself. One consciousness transfer won't be enough. She'll want more and more until she's consumed our entire species." June stared out the window at the stars. Somewhere out there, human families were living peaceful lives on colony worlds, unaware that their survival depended on his decision. Children were playing, couples were falling in love, old people were sharing stories with their grandchildren. "How long do we have?" he asked. She wants an answer in 72 hours, Yuna replied. After that, she stops all fuel shipments immediately. Dr. Hana leaned forward. June, listen to me. Even if this works, you won't be human anymore. You'll be something else trapped in a crystal prison. Is that really living? But if I refuse, billions of people die, June said. How is that a choice? Engineer Day cleared his throat. Actually, there might be another option. What if we don't give her what she wants, but something similar? Something that satisfies her craving without killing anyone? Everyone turned to look at him. I've been thinking about this, Day continued. She wants to experience human emotions and mortality, but maybe we don't need to transfer an entire consciousness. What if we could create a temporary connection? Let her experience human feelings without permanently taking someone's life. Dr. Hana's eyes lit up. A neural bridge. We link a human volunteer's mind with hers temporarily. She gets to feel what we feel, but the human stays in their own body. Is that possible? Captain Kyung asked. Maybe, Dr. Hana said. But it would still be incredibly dangerous. The volunteer's mind would be directly connected to an alien consciousness. The psychological stress could be devastating. June stood up slowly. But they would survive. Probably, if we're very careful and very lucky. For the first time in hours, June smiled. Then that's what we offer her. A taste of humanity without destroying it. The crystal chamber hummed with energy as technicians from both species worked. Side by side, Dr. Hana watched nervously as crystal beings installed their consciousness mapping equipment next to human neural interface devices. The two technologies had never been combined before. Are you sure about this? Dr. Hana asked June for the 100th time. He lay on a metal table, dozens of sensors attached to his head. Nearby, Princess Nala reclined on a crystal platform, her body glowing with anticipation. No, June admitted, but it's better than dying completely. Princess Nala had agreed to the temporary connection, though she seemed disappointed. I wanted the full experience, she had said. But I suppose a taste is better than nothing, the E. Past week had been a nightmare of preparation. Human scientists worked around the clock to modify their neural interface technology. The crystal beings shared consciousness-bridging techniques they had used for millions of years. Nobody knew if the two systems would work together. Remember, Dr. Hana warned, if you feel your mind being pulled too deep into hers, fight back. The emergency disconnect should break the link, but we're not sure how fast it will work. June nodded and closed his eyes. He thought about his daughter, Suri, playing in their garden back on Earth. He thought about his wife's laugh, the smell of rain on summer evenings, the taste of his grandmother's soup. If these were going to be his last human thoughts, he wanted them to be good ones. Initiating connection, announced Engineer Day from the control room. The world exploded. Suddenly, June wasn't just himself anymore. His consciousness slammed into something vast and ancient and completely alien. Princess Nala's mind was like a crystal cave system stretching forever in all directions. Her thoughts moved like light through diamond, cold and precise and beautiful. For a moment, he was lost. His human awareness felt tiny and fragile in the enormous space of her immortal mind. Then he remembered who he was and why he was there. I can feel you, Princess Nala's voice echoed through the crystal caverns of her thoughts. You're so small, so brief, but so intense. June tried to show her what it meant to be human. He shared his memory of holding his newborn daughter for the first time, the overwhelming love, the terror of responsibility, the joy mixed with the knowledge that someday he would have to let her go. Princess Nala's consciousness recoiled in shock. What is this feeling? It hurts, but it's beautiful. How do you bear it? We don't have a choice, June replied. We love because we're mortal. Every moment matters because we know it will end. He showed her more memories. The day his father died, and how the grief felt like drowning. His wedding day when happiness made his chest feel too small for his heart. The first time he saw Earth from space, tiny and blue and precious beyond words, each emotion hit Princess Nala like a physical blow. Her crystal form began to crack under the strain of feelings she had never experienced. But she wanted more. Show me fear, she demanded. June hesitated, then shared his memory of the dying colony ships. The panic, when the engines failed. The desperation of watching children grow weak from hunger. The crushing weight of knowing that millions of lives depended on his mission. Princess Nala screamed. The sound shattered crystal formations throughout her palace, but she wouldn't let go of the connection. "More," she gasped. "Show me what it feels like to face death." That's when things went wrong. Princess Nala's hunger for human emotion began pulling June's consciousness deeper into her mind. He felt himself dissolving, his human thoughts being absorbed into her ancient crystal awareness. "The connection is destabilizing," Dr. Hana shouted. "His brain activity is spiking dangerously." Joan fought to maintain his identity, but Princess Nala's need was too strong. She was accidentally consuming him, just like she had consumed the emotions in human food. "I can't stop," she whispered. "You feel so real, so alive. I need more." Both. Minds began to fracture under the strain of impossible connection. The neural connection was tearing both minds apart, but in that chaos, something beautiful happened. As Princess Nala desperately tried to absorb more of June's consciousness, she accidentally touched his deepest memory, the day his daughter Suri was born. The memory hit her like lightning. She felt June's trembling hands as he held the tiny baby for the first time, the overwhelming rush of love that made him cry. But more than that, she felt something she had never experienced in her millions of years of existence, the fierce, protective determination of a parent. "I will do anything for you," June had whispered to baby Suri that day. "I will move mountains. I will fight the universe itself to keep you safe." Princess Nala's crystal form stopped glowing as the full weight of that promise settled into her ancient mind. She had consumed countless emotions from human food, but this was different. This wasn't just a feeling, it was a driving force that shaped every decision June made. "You really mean it," she whispered through the neural link. "You would die for her." Without hesitation, June replied, his consciousness growing weaker, but his resolve burning bright. "That's what parents do." The princess dove deeper into his memories. She saw June working late into the night, studying alien languages and diplomatic protocols, not for glory or personal gain, but because his daughter's future depended on humanity's survival among the stars. She felt his exhaustion, his fear of failure, his willingness to sacrifice everything. "But why?" Princess Nala asked, genuinely confused. "She is just one small human among billions. In a few decades she will die anyway. Why does she matter so much?" June's answer came not in words, but in a flood of memories. Teaching 6-year-old Suri to ride a bicycle, her laughter ringing through the park, reading bedtime stories while she fell asleep against his shoulder, watching her draw pictures of spaceships and dream about exploring the galaxy. "Because she's mine," June said simply. "Because in my brief time in this universe I helped create something beautiful and innocent and full of potential. Because even if she only lives for 70 years, those years will be filled with love and discovery and joy." Princess Nala felt something crack inside her crystal heart. She had lived for millions of years and accomplished nothing meaningful. She had never created life, never protected anything, never loved something more than herself. The connection deepened, and she experienced more of June's human relationships. His love for his wife, built over years of shared struggles and small victories. His friendship with Chef Minho, forged through countless hours working together to save their people. His respect for Dr. Hana, who had risked her career to help develop the neural bridge. "You're all so connected," Princess Nala marveled. "Every human touches the lives of others. You build something together." "That's how we survive," June explained, his voice growing fainter as the strain increased. "We're weak alone, but together we're strong. We care for each other because we know life is precious and short." Princess Nala saw the truth now. Human. Strength didn't come from their technology or their intelligence. It came from their ability to love deeply, despite knowing that love would end. They found meaning in temporary connections because those connections were all they had. She experienced June's determination to complete his mission, knowing he might never see Suri again. She felt his willingness to risk his mind in the neural bridge, not for personal glory, but to save billions of people he would never meet. You choose to care, she said with wonder, even knowing it will hurt you. Especially knowing it will hurt us, June replied. The pain proves it matters. For the first time in her eternal existence, Princess Nala understood what she had been missing. Not mortality itself, but the urgency and meaning that mortality brought to every moment. Humans didn't just feel emotions. They were shaped by them, driven by them, made stronger by them. As the neural bridge began to stabilize, Princess Nala made a decision that would change both their species forever. She had found what she was truly hungry for, not human experience, but human purpose. The neural connection finally stabilized after what felt like hours of chaos. June's consciousness slowly pulled back from the vast crystal caverns of Princess Nala's mind, but something had changed in both of them. The princess sat perfectly still on her crystal platform, her body pulsing with new colors, soft golds and warm blues, instead of her usual cold white light. "I understand now," she whispered, her voice filled with wonder. "I was wrong about everything." Dr. Hana monitored June's vital signs as he slowly opened his eyes. "How do you feel?" she asked. "Different," June said quietly. "Like I've been carrying something heavy and just put it down." He looked at Princess Nala. "Did you find what you were looking for?" The princess stood up from her platform, moving with a grace that seemed more human than before. "I thought I wanted to die. I thought mortality was the secret to your strength. But death isn't what makes you special." She walked to the crystal window overlooking her city. Below them, thousands of crystal beings went about their eternal routines, unchanged for millions of years. "It's not the dying that matters," Princess Nala continued. "It's the living with purpose. You humans create beautiful things, knowing they won't last forever. You love deeply knowing you'll lose what you love. You fight for causes you might never see completed." June sat up slowly, still recovering from the mental strain. "We don't have a choice. Time is always running out for us." "But that's exactly it," Princess Nala said, turning back to him. "You make choices that matter because time is limited. Every decision has weight. Every moment has value. We crystal beings have forever, so nothing we do feels important." Through the connection, she had experienced something that changed her completely. She had felt June's memory of visiting an old human museum on Earth, ancient pottery made by people who had been dead for thousands of years. Paintings created by artists who knew their own names would be forgotten. Music composed by musicians who would never see how their songs touched future generations. "They made beauty anyway," Princess Nala said in amazement. "Knowing it might not last, they created it anyway. Not for immortality, but because the act of creation itself gave their brief lives meaning." Captain Yuna's voice crackled through the communication system. "Princess, we're receiving strange signals from across your empire. Other crystal beings are trying to contact us." Princess Nala wasn't surprised. "The connection we shared has rippled through our collective consciousness. Others felt what I experienced. They want to understand, too." Within minutes, the communication channels were flooded with requests. Crystal beings from distant worlds wanted to experience human emotions, human purpose, human intensity. The neural bridge technology that was supposed to be a one-time experiment had sparked something like a revolution. "They're all asking for the same thing," Captain Yuna reported, her voice filled with disbelief. "They want to feel what it means to be human." Princess Nala laughed, and for the first time it sounded warm instead of cold. "For millions of years, we thought immortality made us superior. We looked down on short-lived species as inferior. But you've shown us that limitation creates meaning. Mortality creates purpose." Dr. Hana looked concerned. "This could be dangerous. We've only tested the neural bridge once. We don't know the long-term effects. But we also don't know the benefits," June said, getting to his feet. He felt stronger now, more focused. "Princess, what happens next?" Princess Nala's form brightened with determination, a very human emotion she had learned from him. "We learn from each other. You teach us how to find meaning in existence, how to create beauty that matters, how to love with purpose." "And in return?" Captain Yuna asked. "In return, we share everything we have, our technology, our knowledge, our resources, not as payment for fuel, but as partners. Princess Nala paused. We offer you something we've never offered any species before: true alliance. The implications hit everyone at once. An alliance with the crystal beings would transform humanity's place in the galaxy. But more than that, it would create something entirely new, a partnership between mortal and immortal consciousness. My people hunger for what you have, Princess, Nala said. Not your bodies or your lives, but your spirit. Your ability to find meaning in the brief time you have. 3 months after the neural bridge experiment, the galaxy looked completely different. Ambassador June stood on the observation deck of humanity's first permanent station in crystal space, watching impossible ships drift past his window. Human cargo vessels flew alongside crystal beings who moved through space like living stars. The changes had happened faster than anyone expected. Princess Nala hadn't just opened trade routes. She had torn down barriers that had existed for millions of years. Crystal worlds that had never allowed alien visitors now welcomed human families with open arms. The housing applications are overwhelming, reported diplomat Kira, reviewing her tablet as she joined June at the window. She had been put in charge of the new cultural exchange program, and the job was consuming her life. 15,000 human families want to relocate to crystal worlds, and that's just this week. June smiled. What about the other direction? Even more interesting, Kira said. Over 300 crystal beings have requested permission to live on human colonies. They want to experience what they call mortal time, living with deadlines, seasons, and limited lifespans. It was the strangest partnership in galactic history. Crystal beings who had existed for millions of years were learning basic concepts like urgency and purpose from humans who barely lived a century. But somehow, it was working. Through the window, June could see the first mixed construction project taking shape. Human engineers worked alongside crystal beings to build something that had never existed before, a city designed for both mortal and immortal residents. The crystal beings provided the raw materials and power, while humans contributed ideas about making spaces feel warm and alive. Princess Nala wants to see you, Kira said. She's in the cultural center with the first group of exchange participants. June made his way through corridors that hummed with activity. Human children ran past, laughing as they chased small crystal beings who sparkled like living jewels. In the recreation areas, elderly humans taught ancient crystal beings how to play chess, while crystal elders shared stories from before human civilization even existed. The cultural center was packed. Princess Nala stood at the front of a large room, but she looked different now. Her crystal form had adapted to spend more time around humans. She was smaller, warmer, more approachable. The cold, commanding presence from their first meeting was gone. "June!" she called out when she saw him. "Perfect timing, we're discussing the next phase of the program." Around the room, mixed groups of humans and crystal beings sat in circles, sharing experiences. June watched as a young human artist named Hyun showed a crystal being how to paint with watercolors. The immortal creature was fascinated by how the colors blended and faded, impermanent beauty that wouldn't last forever. "They're learning about temporary art," Princess Nala explained. "For beings who have always created things to last millions of years, the idea of making something beautiful that will fade away is revolutionary." At another table, an elderly human woman named Soon was teaching crystal beings about cooking. Not the elaborate dishes they had sent before, but simple everyday meals. The immortals watched in amazement as she explained how ingredients would spoil if not used quickly, how timing mattered, how a moment of inattention could ruin hours of work. "It's not just about the food," Soon was saying. "It's about the risk. Every meal is a small act of faith. You hope it turns out well, but you know it might not." Princess Nala turned to June. "This is what I was truly hungry for. Not the emotions themselves, but the meaning behind them. Your people don't just feel, you create purpose from your feelings." "And what are we learning from you?" June asked. Princess Nala smiled. "Patience, long-term thinking, the value of taking time to really understand something instead of rushing." She gestured to a corner where human scientists worked with crystal researchers. Your Dr. Hana has been studying our consciousness transfer technology. She says it might help humans with certain brain injuries. And your people are learning about urgency from us, June observed. Yes, for the first time in millions of years we have deadlines, projects that need to be completed, relationships that require attention and care. Princess Nala's voice filled with wonder. Some of my people have even started celebrating birthdays, marking the anniversary of when they first experienced human emotions. The exchange was transforming both species in ways no one had predicted. 5 years had passed since the first neural bridge connection, and the galaxy was unrecognizable. Teacher Day stood in front of his classroom on New Seoul Station, looking out at the most unusual group of students he had ever taught. Ancient crystal beings sat next to human teenagers, all of them eagerly taking notes about something as simple as the changing seasons. Today we're going to talk about why humans celebrate birthdays, Day said, writing on the holographic board. Can anyone tell me why marking the passage of time is important to us? A crystal being named Vel raised what passed for a hand, her. Form had adapted over the years to be more human-like, though she still sparkled like starlight. Because each year brings you closer to death, so each birthday is both celebration and mourning? Exactly, Day smiled. We celebrate because we've survived another year, but we also acknowledge that our time is limited. It makes each moment more precious. In the back row, a human student named Jin looked confused. But Vel, you're immortal. Why do you celebrate? Birthdays now. Vel's crystal form pulsed with warm colors, emotions she had learned from humans. Because I've learned that time has meaning when you choose to give it meaning. I celebrate the anniversary of when I first understood joy. It may not be the same as your birthdays, but it marks a moment when my existence changed forever. This was happening all across crystal space. Schools, universities, and cultural centers, where immortal beings learned what humans had always known, that limitation creates value, that endings make beginnings precious, that knowing something won't last forever makes you treasure it more. Day dismissed his class and walked through the station corridors. New Seoul Station was a marvel of cooperation. Crystal technology, providing unlimited clean energy, while human design made the spaces feel warm and alive. Gardens grew in impossible spirals through crystal formations. Art galleries displayed paintings that would fade over time alongside crystal sculptures meant to last forever. He stopped at a memorial wall, something that would have been impossible to explain to crystal beings just a few years ago. It honored humans who had died since the Alliance began, not in war or conflict, but from old age, accidents, and disease. The crystal beings had insisted on building it after they learned about human grief. We want to understand loss, Princess, Nala had explained. Your people create beauty from sadness. We want to learn how to honor endings. Day's communication device buzzed. It was a message from Earth. Ambassador June was finally coming home after 5 years in crystal space. The news filled Day with joy. June had become a legend, the man who saved humanity not through weapons or conquest, but through connection and understanding. The journey back to Earth took 3 days on the new hybrid ships, crystal technology powered by human innovation. Day joined thousands of others at the spaceport to welcome their hero home. When June stepped off the ship, he looked older but peaceful. His eyes held a depth that came from touching an alien mind and surviving. His daughter, Suri, now 13, ran to embrace him. She had grown up during his mission, becoming one of the first generation of humans to see crystal beings as friends and teachers rather than alien mysteries. "Dad, you missed my art exhibition," she said, pretending to pout. "I painted a series about time and impermanence. Master Zul helped me understand how crystal beings see eternity." June laughed, the sound filled with joy and relief. "Show me everything, I have so much catching up to do." The celebration lasted 3 days. Representatives from dozens of crystal worlds attended, many of them former immortals who had chosen to experience limited lifespans. They wanted to honor the man who had taught their entire species how to find meaning in existence. Princess Nala appeared as a hologram during the main ceremony. Her form had changed dramatically over the years, becoming more fluid and expressive. Ambassador June gave us the greatest gift any species can offer another, she said. He taught us how to live with purpose. But perhaps the most meaningful moment came when June visited his old neighborhood. Children who had been born after the Alliance played with small crystal beings in the park. Elderly humans shared stories with ancient immortals on park benches. Former enemies had become family. We didn't just save humanity, June told his wife. That evening, as they watched Suri teach her crystal friend how to ride a bicycle, we saved them too. They were dying of meaninglessness, and we showed them how to live. The Alliance had transformed both species, but more than that, it had proven something beautiful about the universe. That connection was stronger than conquest, that understanding was more powerful than force, and that even the smallest act of sharing what makes you human could change the galaxy forever.